Just want to say thank you for having me. It's a huge opportunity to be here, and deep respect and gratitude for all the mom for showing up this morning. I think for all of us to be here this morning, it shows that we want the best for our kids, and we want the best for us, and we are in the journey of personal development. So yeah, just deep gratitude for all of us being here today. So I'm talking about body positivity, and before for us to focus on our kids about body positivity, we have to first focus on ourselves, because we are not separate from our children, and whatever characteristics our children are, exposed to or choose to be, is a reflection of us as mom, and is a reflection from the family that they are coming from. So most times in say relationship, we always, as the mother, we always say, oh, why am I the one that's supposed to change? Why is the onus on me to change? So the why is we are the thread. Every successful child that is well grounded spiritually, emotionally, physically, and everything, if they have a firm foundation from the mom, be 100% guaranteed, plus God, that there'll be huge success in the life of the child. And when we change as parents, when we change the environment as parents, everything around us change. When we change from the inside, everything around us change. So that's why the onus is on us to do something about it, because we are not separate from our kids. So body positivity for me, I think the first key is acceptance. Accepting of who we are, accepting of the child that we have. If we come from a place of acceptance, then we can start making changes. So, and I think for me, if we kind of, like, I'll give an example now. I have 4 kids, right? It's a lot raising 4 kids, but I can't take them anywhere. They are mine. So I have to come to the place of acceptance and say, they are my responsibility. If my base is accepting of where I am and who I am and my responsibility, then there's less struggle and less stress, and there's less ease. And I think acceptance, for me, most of the things I know and most of the seed I have built on is from my mom. I am a product of a stepmom, by the way. So when I say my mom, I mean my stepmom. So she's kind of like the greatest influencer of who a mom is to me. So I remember, just because my first child was an hyper child, and it was really very difficult. I was always stressed. And then she asked me a question that changed my perspective, that made me understand that seed of acceptance. She said, how old? I think he was like 3+ at the time. And he said, how old is Ify? And I said, Ify is 3 years old. And she said, if Ify is 3 years old, why do you expect him to behave like a 10-year-old? So she said, he's a child, allow him to be a child. Allow him to behave like a child. And it was just in that scenario, but it kind of changes everything. So I use that acceptance in all the tools and in everything that has come into my life after them. So, like COVID started and I have 4 kids and it's very stressful. There's homeschool and everything. But I have to be accepting of where I am to be able to support my mental health. So it's accepting that we are mom, accepting that we're wife, and accepting that we have to work, and accepting that we have to go to school. And as if you're a new mom, is accepting that you're a new mom. And sometimes it's hard, but just accept that, okay, this is where I am at, but what can I do about it? Because when you come from a place of acceptance, then you have a choice to choose. And most times you always choose what's better. And as parents, sometimes it can be really stressful. So I put here, I say our reality is somebody's prayer. So we can be stressed, raising one child or two children or three and saying, oh, this is so hard, but know that there's somebody that is praying to have just one. So accepting of who we are and the children that we have is somebody's prayer. And when we do accept that, when we come from a place of acceptance and knowing that our reality is not as bad as we think, then we can be able to look at our children and see who God has created them to be, because no child is created empty. But if we are looking at all the struggles and everything around us, we will not be able to see the greatness in that child. And if you look at if we go deep into positivity, we realize that acceptance is accepting who that child is and knowing that each of our children are different. So, some children, they just come and they just know what to do. They are very organized. Sometimes we do not even teach them, like they just know what to do. And then you have another one that is on the other side, is accepting that they are the one that they're driving their car, but we are there to be able to support them. And in supporting them is knowing that this is who this child is. This is who this child is, and be able to relate to them from that perspective. And in that way, we'll be able to 100% support them. So it's all connected. So when I say it's all connected, it means the environment that we bring our children in is a reflection of who they will become. So like in my intro, I'm doing trauma studies at the moment, and in trauma studies, there's an ACE study. The ACE study is adverse childhood experiences. So it says that the environment that our children grow up in wires who they become. So if we look at our parenting style, if we were in a physical location, we share mothers into groups, and we say, what is the thing about your parenting style, the way you were being parents that you didn't like? And you find out that we have things that you didn't like and things that you liked. And what the moving forward is, those things that you liked about the way you were being parents, the way you were being raised, incorporate it into your own parenting. The things that you didn't like, can we try as much as possible as parents not to bring them in? But sometimes it might be difficult because that's how our program is. And in the ACE study says a child that grew up in an abusive environment, a child that was sexually or physically abused, a child that's grew up in an alcoholic environment, a child that grew up in like separation or where there's death in the family, there's potential of mental illness. So, but most times as children, those things are ignored. We don't talk about it because we grew up in an environment where children are silenced and children don't have a voice. So that will affect, the mental health of the child and affect some of the decisions that they make in future. And a study says there's a writer that dived deep. His name is Gabamate. He says the body keeps the score. So whatever environment that a child grows up in, it doesn't go away. It's locked in the body. So they might be exposed to peer pressure. A child can be with bad friends and yet make a good decision because of environment. But where a child is in an environment that was an abusive environment, it's easy to fit in because the body keeps the score. And he also wrote a book, In the Realm of the Hungry Ghost. So there's that emptiness that the child is yearning for that makes them, that affects their body image, affects the way they think, allows them to make poor decisions, and they just keep going. And then you just keep, you look at the child and say, why is this child always making wrong decisions? Like on the face of it, we all know that it's a wrong decision, but the child just keep making it. It's because the body keeps the score. The child needs to heal from the trauma of the past to be able to move forward. So as parents and as mothers, as we're here, and I know we all have the same intention to bring our children right. So it is our responsibility to create a genuinely safe environment for our children. And if such an event of abuse or low, like cause physical, verbal abuse and all those things happen, we should create a space for communication, because if the voice is heard, healing becomes possible. But if you, silence the child and silence the body will keep the score. Our mind is not separate from our bodies, all connected. So like that's kind of like the case study thing. So I'll come back to reality. So if our parents sometimes realize that some of the things that we were told as children, it still affects us even now. So if the words that people say to us, even now as adults, affects us as adults, let's also know that those words we say to our children also affect them. It's our responsibility to be able to consciously watch the kind of words, the things we say to our children. And even when we sometimes in the place of anger say things that are not okay, can we please, and just consciously go back and say, you know what, everything I said was because I'm angry. It's okay to apologize to our kids. Sometimes we say, oh, if I say I'm sorry, it's to get into their head. But really they are human. And if we don't resolve conflicts with our children, the body will keep the score. As parents, we have our own baggages, things that, that troubles us. Can we try, because our children, they have their own also, can we try as much as possible? I'm also speaking for myself, not to transfer our loads to our children, because it becomes very difficult for them to be able to even focus on being a genuinely positive person or, confident child. So our stuff is our stuff, and the ones that doesn't even support us, can we just at least drop them and, be able to make progress with life and not pass it on to our generation that we're focusing on. And building positive body positivity for children is a formation, is our words and our body language. So our word affects the way they think, the way they feel, how they believe in themselves, the things that they know. So the power of our word is our words is very key. A lot of us, we actually do talk. So power of words is like affirmation. We talk, but most of the things we always talk about is the things that the kids are not doing right. So there has to be a balance in building positive body positivity. Is when they do something right, can we at least amplify it? And I think when our kids see the spark in our eyes, they say, this is what makes mommy happy. There's need to want to do more. But we, the way we were brought up, we think that if we praise our kids, it gets into their head, so we kind of hold back. You don't hold back because times are different, I was reading a book by a man, is a mental health doctor, and he said, what if what you're thinking right now is what your future will become? So if we think about it, what if we are saying what we are saying to our children right now is who they will become? So we don't talk to our children based on, the problem that they're giving us, but the potential. We have to see them and talk to them from a place of the potential or the greatness that we think that they are. So that's where the power of our words come to play. And if you look at people that are, great today, or the people that are confident today, they tell you, oh, is my mom. Even for myself, I say a lot of, oh, I know now, and the confidence that I have is from my mom. Like she didn't consciously do it. It was just an unconscious thing. It's just watching her and seeing her being by herself and taking care of all of us. And, like funny enough, growing up, I never saw her complain. Maybe she did complain, but like in my face, just raising 4 kids that are not yours, but genuinely loving them is just an amazing space for a child to grow up in. And that's really builds my confidence. And if I get tired, sometimes I say, if she could do it for me, why can't I do it for my own children? So yeah, the power of our words is very important. And like it's okay to hug your kids and to kiss them and to give them high five and to hold their hands, and that's the language that kids understand. And to spend 5 minutes with them, or have movie times, share that, have that time with your children, because that is what they remember. That is what they remember. That's what builds their confidence. That's what makes them know that I am really special. You know, if they don't get it from home, they start looking for it outside, and it affects them. They think, oh, I have to, you know, I have to bleach my skin to be accepted. I have to, you know, dress in a certain way to be accepted. But if they are accepted from home, if they have one person, which is the mom, that 100% accept them for who they are, that's the seed that they need, and they can build from there. The children's love language is words, is touch, is continuous word. We have to keep talking as parents. Sometimes you say, oh, I'm tired of talking. Yes, we have to keep talking. We have to keep talking, and as much as possible, you know, let the things that we say be things that we empower them. You know, love is action, is not just words, is not just in the thoughts. You know, a lot of times as parents, we pray for our children, but they don't even know we are praying for them. So sometimes call them, hold their hands, pray for them, touch them. They should know. Even our families, you know, I can even extend it to our husband. We just pray in our prayer room. They don't know. Call them, walk around the house, let them know that my mom supports me, my mom is praying for me, my mom wants me to be this person. And it's important to keep talking. Like, you know, I wrote communication. If our children come to us with questions, if you don't say anything, somebody else will answer it for them. So it's better for them to have choices. So you say your own, they can find out the different information somewhere, but don't shut that wall of communication, no matter how difficult the subject is. We have to talk to our children. There's social media, there's Google. They can go there to look for information, but they also need to know your own information. Your own information is their value. That is, they say, okay, this is in my home, this is what my mom thinks. So if you don't communicate, they don't know what you think. So it's important for us to communicate. And, you know, body shaming is what is really going on right now. There's cyberbullying, there's physical bullying, there's body shaming. It's important for us to, if we give our children that value, like for me, what I say to my kids, I say what somebody says to you is that's the person's idea of who they think you are. But you also need to have an idea of who you are. Children are very mean. They say mean stuff to each other. You know, so when your child comes home and says, this person said this thing to me, sometimes you just want to go there and beat the next child, but you don't even know what your own child has said to the next person. So you should be able to draw the line and say, that's what the person thinks, but who you are is different. But the child won't know who they are if they are different if we don't tell them. So we have to continue affirming our children and letting them know that you're unique, you're beautiful, you're handsome, you're intelligent, you're smart, you know, you're the best, and high five, and I'm so proud of you. And, you know, those words that we keep affirming them, we have to keep doing that as parents, you know. And if you are not doing that, you can fake it until it becomes real. But, you know, it's very important for us to affirm our children, to touch them, pat them in the back, hug them, hold their hands, you know, look them in the eyes and tell them how proud and happy we are of them. Particularly when they do something good, it's important that we do that. So, I hope I've been able to you know, bring my own perspective of, you know, body positivity is from us to our children. And if we don't have it for ourselves, we have to come to a place where we can start having it for ourselves, so that we can be able to transfer good values to our children. Thank you for your time. Thank you, greater scholars. Thank you, Mrs. Kupon.